So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. iPhone 12 Pro Max many months later. Now I want to recover this phone because I've actually been using it a little bit more lately than when I switched to the iPhone 12 mini back in the day. I did switch to the Galaxy S21 Ultra as my main phone, but when it comes to iPhone, because I usually use an Android and an iPhone, I've been using the 12 Pro Max more than I was using the mini lately. And let me tell you many reasons why I've come to love the iPhone 12 Pro Max. And I think even right now, if you picked one up, it's still a pretty good purchase, even though the iPhone 13 is not too far away. So there's 10 reasons that I just absolutely have been loving this phone lately. And the first one is the design. Now, while I have seen a lot of nice Android phones competing with this and coming out, I'm always drawn to these squared edges. It just gives the iPhone 12 Pro Max a unique feel. And why this one is particularly drawing me is because it's a larger version of the squared edges. We've only seen that on smaller phones back in the day, on the 5S and stuff like that, and then the 12 came out. But this is just a massive version of it. It really kind of goes along with the whole iPad Pro lineup that has a squared edges, so it just kind of gives it a more continuity feel between the iPad Pro series and the iPhone. And not only that, these squared edges are very nicely polished, and with the stainless steel material, they just give this a very high-end feel. And that brings me on to my second reason why I think the iPhone 12 Pro Max is still a great phone, and it's the durability. Now, I dropped this thing on cement yesterday. I did have it in a case, but a very thin one, and it sustained basically no damage thanks to the case. But I've dropped this phone on hardwood floors, and it hasn't sustained any real damage. So very durable ceramic glass on both the front and the back, and it doesn't really pick up too much fingerprints here, although I wish Apple would kind of just make this material in here by the camera a little bit more, matte, because this can get a little bit smudgy in here. Even these little, stainless steel around the, camera lenses do get a little bit smudgy, so I think they can improve there. But overall, I gotta say, the phone itself just feels like $1 million in your hand every day. Number 3 is the aspect ratio. Now, this is one of the things that you don't really think about when you have an iPhone 12 Pro Max, but definitely if you compare this to something like a Sony phone, one of those taller Android phones, or even some of the other Android phones out there, their aspect ratios are getting more skinny, as in more like narrow, but with taller displays. And the iPhone 12 Pro Max keeps a very nice, wider panel. So if you like to read a lot on your phone, if you're in Apple News and stuff like that, you're definitely going to find yourself getting more width when you are reading articles and things like that sort. So I do like the width of this phone. It gives it more of a just kind of a comfortable reading experience, just because they didn't go with such a skinny aspect ratio on this phone. And at number 4, it kind of boggles my mind how the iPhone 12 Pro Max is able to maintain such a smooth operating system even without, having the 90 hertz, 120 hertz promotion. Well, we kind of get why it does it because of the optimizations, but seriously, I don't really think about this much until I compare it side by side with an Android phone. Whereas with older Android phones, you can definitely see when they're on 60 hertz. This one, you can't really see it too much until you actually put it side by side with a 120 hertz. So this is the smoothest 60 hertz, and I've mentioned this before, but the only reason I'm able to still use this is because even with a 60 hertz, it's still very smooth. If Apple had any type of lag with this thing, definitely would be very hard and tough to use after using a 120 hertz, because I don't like going back. But this one, I don't really feel like I'm going too far back because it's not like super laggy or anything like that. Although I will say, if I put the S21 Ultra next to this, if I put the OnePlus 8 Pro display next to this, you will definitely see a major difference if you're looking for it. And the next one on this phone is the iPhone 12 Pro Max has very good usable brightness. So when you go here and you actually toggle this thing all the way up, this will give you very high usable brightness, like 800 nits. Like, we talk about peak brightness a lot, but that only really triggers, it only really activates when you are outside, when the sunlight's on. Certain videos, like HDR videos, things like that, will activate it. But with the 12 Pro Max, they're giving you a whole ton of usable brightness, so you can really tweak it yourself. If you like to leave it on adaptive brightness, you won't get to use that much, because if you're indoors a lot, you're going to only see it in a dimmer form. But if you actually tweak this yourself, you'll notice the iPhone 12 Pro Max, it gets extremely bright. And if that new iPad Pro 12.9, if that's any indication where Apple's going, if they start bringing those type of displays with 1000 nits of brightness, I think they might do it on a future iPhone. It's going to be even more bright than this, but you know, it's so much brightness that you'll never need it at nighttime, but throughout the day, it's nice to have that extra bit, because some competing phones actually look quite dim by comparison. It's the little things that count with these devices these days, and one of the little things that doesn't seem very little when you actually need it is the mobile performance, 5G, and the reception. You don't really think about this stuff because you just expect your phone to work, but prior iPhone 11 Pro Max and 10s Max were definitely not my favorite when it comes to reception strength. However, this has been fixed with the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and it's one of the most appreciated reasons why I'm able to use this phone, you know, just as much as my Samsung device or side by side, because it's getting a similar reception, a similar 5G performance. I really do like it. I think it's a major upgrade that people don't really talk about much, because it's just not the most flashy thing to talk about. But I gotta say, the mobile performance, reception strength, much stronger on the iPhone 12s than before. And I also want to talk about battery life. And one of the main reasons why I love the iPhone 12 Pro Max, even over other iPhones, is because the battery life itself has held up better over time than the other ones, in that it gets a longer, you know, performance every day. It's the only iPhone of the 12 lineup that actually reminds me of the iPhone 11 lineup, where they really improved the battery life, because the iPhone 12 Pro Max's battery life gets the full day and then some, just like the 11 Pro Max did. Now with the 12, the iPhone 12 Pro, even the 12 mini, I feel like Apple actually has some worse battery life than things like the iPhone 11 and 11 Pro. But when we talk about the Max phone here in the 12 series, you're getting batteries similar to what you used to have. And I actually think this is an area where Apple is going to definitely improve on the 13 series. But I gotta say, after many months, I'm very happy with the battery life. And if you bought this mid-cycle, the iPhone 12 Pro Max, like midway through the year as we're almost there, this is still going to give you very good longevity in your day-to-day performance. Number 8, I just like the overall polish of this phone. Not only does the hardware feel polished, you can see it, it's so polished it's picking up fingerprints right there, but it's the overall software combined with that. It's a polished software with a polished hardware, and Apple strikes such a good balance here, because the body and the build, I think the only phone that I found on the Android side that comes close here is the OnePlus 8 Pro, mostly because the 8 Pro does have a very polished Oxygen OS software and a very premium build as well. And I'm not sure other competing phones actually come super close here, but it just has this overall refinement, this build where stainless steel, you have this polished feel, this polished stainless steel on the edges with this polished software. It just goes so well together. So just the overall refinement, polish, definitely one of the main reasons to really still enjoy this phone. Next up is the 6 gigabytes of RAM with the Apple A14 Bionic. Now, the A14 Bionic is beating basically every Android phone out there. And where do you really see this? Well, you kind of see it in the lag-free performance every day, but most Android phones now are also lag-free. But where you really see it is that when you do benchmarks, you definitely crush competitors here. And when you're just actually using it day to day, you'll notice that it never chokes. The animations are always perfectly smooth. Everything you do on here just always works, and it works the way you expect. Now, I did have a comment yesterday, somebody saying that my iPhone 12 Pro Max keeps rebooting or something. That's a rare situation, but I haven't ever had this thing really reboot on me. The only time it's rebooting is when I'm doing my very up-to-date software like iOS 14.5 that we just did a couple days ago. But yeah, the A14 really giving you the longevity that you'll want on a phone that you're going to pay this kind of price for, like $1,200. You will definitely get 5 years of performance out of this thing. And I think the A series chips are so far ahead now that the performance gaps won't feel as big as they used to when you upgrade it to some of these more modern phones these days. And finally, at number 10, it's not the cameras that impress me too much. The photography's fine on here, it's pretty good, but I've seen great photos on other phones as well. I'm not gonna say it's bad. It's really good here, but I mean, I'm not gonna say go get the 12 Pro Max because it has the best photo quality, because I think some Android phones compete with this very well and do better. Like the S21 Ultra has better zoom, and some photo features in there are better. I think the Pixel sometimes can take a better shot than this thing. but the video is where I just don't find anybody coming close. The video quality, it's just so good. 4K 60 on the ultra wide, 4K 60 on the main, 4K 60 on the telephoto, 4K 60 on the front, HDR video. Apple's not messing around with video. This is some of the best video you're gonna find. It's the best video, not some of, it's the best video I find on any phone. And as much as I wanna try to use other devices, even though they give you 8K, we don't really need 8K right now. I mean, it's a nice feature to say, hey, I got 8K, you don't. But the camera, the video quality that comes out of this thing, this is the phone I'm picking up when I'm taking a video and I don't want to use a camera. This is it, you know. And then combine that with iMovie, LumaFusion. These apps are super well polished. They work amazingly well. And it's very easy to take your video, quickly chop it up on your phone and upload it straight from your iPhone. This thing is a video machine right here if you want to use it for that. And there's literally only like one thing I don't really like about this phone, and that's it doesn't take really good advantage of the screen space. So we have a huge screen here in the iPhone 12 Pro Max, but we don't have split screen. I wish Apple would implement some kind of split screen on this phone. It's huge. Like, let me get, you know, 2 apps side by side. I would really like that here. So in conclusions, those are the main reasons after many months that I've come to love the iPhone 12 Pro Max. If you have an iPhone 12 Pro Max, share your experience down below in the comments section. If you found this video helpful, entertaining, informing, and you strongly resonated with these reasons, you might want to consider getting yourself a 12 Pro Max. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I will catch you all in the next episode. Nick here. Be sure to be well and peace.